Welcome once again. It is Garden America. You came to the right place. I'm Brian Main. He's Tiger Palafox. We are back for this weekend show, obviously, every Saturday right here on Facebook Live and Biz Talk Radio. Our good buddy John Bagnasco, well, John is off today. Tiger, he's got the rose auction, and last weekend when he was here, seemed like John was just a little bit in his own world. And then during the breaks, he said, I've got so much on my mind.
You know, this is always his big time of year with the rose auction. And, you know, he puts so much energy and effort into making sure it's successful because, you know, this is a big money maker for the Coastal Rose Society, which helps, you know, save these roses,
it's his baby.
Worldwide. And, you know, and it's John. So, you know, he always puts a good amount of effort into anything he does. But, you know, I'm glad to see that it's kind of coming around. And after this, then he's all done. And then in a week, we're heading off to Costa Rica. So hopefully he'll be relaxed and be able to enjoy that.
Right. Speaking of Costa Rica, we leave next weekend, a week from tomorrow. Sunday,
leave on
the 21st.
Yeah, right.
10 o'clock, plane leaves Lindbergh Field.
Goodness gracious.
So those of you in other parts of the country, other parts of the state, other parts of anywhere you are, if you're going with us, we welcome you. We look forward to seeing you. It's going to be a good time. Great itinerary. So that's happening next weekend already.
I know it's going to sneak up on us, and we'll be making sure to share and post, and we're going to try to do a live broadcast from there and all of that. So
you'll have your updates, no doubt about that. Pictures,
we'll have some fun.
Short videos, and then I guess toward the end of the week, we've got to stay at a hotel, I believe, on Saturday, the weekend before we leave, and maybe we'll do a show from the resort.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think of all the things that I have to do to get ready to go to Costa Rica now, too.
We talked about that when you came in this morning. I said, has it hit you yet? It's my wife and I, we're getting ready. We're like the boiling frog.
Yeah.
We're simmering, but then you realize the closer it gets, you got things to do.
Yeah.
Got the right suitcase, got the right carry-on, got everything you want to bring with you. It's, you know, so I've been writing stuff down on my phone, little notes
to get ready to go.
So those that can't go with us, you'll be part of it. We'll take you with us and get you involved as much as we can. What are you looking around? What are you looking at?
I was looking at one of the shots that I have, and you know, it's dark. I'm dark. I gotta.
You're dark?
Yeah.
Oh, the shot of you right now?
Yeah. Or was.
Oh, you know why? Because the ring light
was normally over there,
right.
And now it's not.
Now it's in front of you.
Yeah.
A little behind the scenes. Well, thank you to all the people that are tuned in already. Sue, Tanya, everybody else, Dana. Yes, indeed. We so appreciate you too, and of course those on Biz Talk Radio as well. So John is off today. We're going to carry the load, Tiger. Our guest today, Madeline. What about Madeline? Those that did not receive or read the newsletter. What about Madeline?
Yeah, Madeline deVries with Garden Fit. She was on our program last year. Garden Fit's a new program on a lot of the PBS stations, right?
Right.
PBS?
Is it PBS?
KPBS or anyways, a lot of the local TV stations broadcast some really fun shows, and Garden Fit is one of those shows where they can, you know, watch a show that's about gardening. You learn a lot about plants, about nature, about different aspects of gardening, but you also learn about how to do it where you can't get hurt or you can get some physical exercise while doing it. So it's kind of like a workout / gardening show.
Stay in shape to garden.
Yeah. Stretch, working out.
It's so true. Now, I've been in better shape in my life, but I'm not in too bad a shape for the most part.
No.
But to echo what you're talking about, if I go out and do a lot of bending, transplanting, watering, no problem. The next day, I feel it in my legs.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I didn't really think I did all that much. So I think that's what she's going to be talking about, how to stay in shape while you garden.
How to stay in shape and how to prevent injuries and how to stretch. You know, for you have a lot of pots. And those pots, I'm sure, get heavy.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, you have these awkward movements that you do with them to move them around. That you can tweak something real easy. So it's all about kind of stretching and staying limber, I think, for the most part. I got the quote of the week. Should I hit that right now? A little early,
yeah,
but
why not? Then we'll, who knows what direction. Besides Madeline today, we of course urge those on Facebook Live with your questions, your comments. So you can always take the show in any direction you want to, as long as we're helping you and answering those questions.
So the quote of the week is: "The desire of activity is designed by nature to promote our physical well-being. Physical activity is the law of physical health," by Edward Brooks.
And we talked about being physically active and being able to be able to garden without hurting yourself too much.
Yeah, and why not do it while you're enjoying nature or while doing
Right.
something you enjoy doing, right? Like, it's funny, people would talk about, "Oh, I don't want to go to the gym. I hate going to the gym." That's fine. You don't need to go to the gym. You don't need to run a marathon. But if you enjoy biking, if you enjoy surfing, if you enjoy gardening, why not make that part of your physical health and
Stay active.
And stay active.
That's the thing, is to stay active, keep moving.
Yeah.
Not just, there's times of relaxation. You need the good balance. But, any advice I could give anybody as they get older, just stay active.
Yeah.
I remember, this is so interesting, being in a high school class, history. Now, our history teacher was also the football coach and coached a lot of other sports activities.
Sports at the school.
And he was talking to us in class one day, and he said something about your futures and your seniors now and this and that. And he says, but remember, right now, you're in the best shape you're ever going to be in your life.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? He was trying to tell us, it's not going to, you know what, unless you keep up, you're not going to be in as good a shape as you are right now at 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And when you're that age, you're like, I can do anything. I'm immortal.
Yeah, you don't think you're going to grow out of that, right?
Yeah, you realize later on, like, how come it hurts to bend over?
Yeah, like,
right?
Like, and it's not even so much the hurt or the physical shape; it's the recovery time. So, to give you kind of an example, my son yesterday, Isaac, he went at his school and did a jogathon where they just run at very many laps they can do.
And how old is he?
Isaac's 9 years old.
Okay,
now.
so we're talking about a 9-year-old.
9-year-old, right? So he goes to his school and he does a jogathon. He's a very active kid. He does wonderful at this jogathon. He did the most laps for his class at this jogathon, right? So he did well. Well, later on in the day, he had baseball practice. So, at baseball practice, he's running around, they're throwing, sliding, catching, doing all that kind of stuff. In the evening, he also plays lacrosse. And in the evening, after baseball practice, he had this lacrosse event where he got to go to a high school lacrosse game with all of his lacrosse buddies, and they're running around playing tag, throwing the lacrosse ball, goofing off, wrestling, doing all that stuff, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, how is he still going? How is he still functioning? But then he'll get up today, and he'll be fine, and he'll do it all tomorrow. I could probably do a lot of the things he did yesterday, probably not as well as he did.
But you're recovering.
But I would not be able to get up today.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think back at everything that you did. I remember being in my first year of college at the University of Wisconsin. I went there to play hockey. So I'm playing hockey, but I'm also taking physical ed courses, because if you were an undeclared major and you played a sport, then they said, well, you know what, you're a phys ed major until you decide otherwise.
Got it.
I'm like, okay, whatever. So sixth period, I would go and I'd suit up in football because it was to teach you how to play football. Oh. And there was contact. Okay. After that, I went and did my real job, which was hockey.
Yeah.
And I look back now and I thought, whoa, how was I able to get hit playing football
and then
go play hockey and get up the next day and go to class?
Yeah.
So, yeah, as you get older, you realize how good a shape you were in. And Dennis Magnuson, the history coach and my coach in sports, you were right. Absolutely right. No doubt about it.
Yeah, well, Madeline's going to join us, so hopefully give us some tips on, at our age now and, what our abilities are to be able to enjoy what we're doing, so that way we can continue doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And our good buddy Kevin Lawrence is tuned in right now on Facebook, and I went to junior high and high school with him, and he'll be with us in Costa Rica as well.
Yeah, Kevin, we can't wait to spend
Yep.
some time with you, and hopefully you'll enjoy Costa Rica, and we'll be seeing a lot of fun stuff.
Hey, we got a couple of minutes here, actually about a minute and a half till our first break. What about Tomato Mania? What's happening with tomatoes this year?
So Tomato Mania for us is kind of wrapping up. We still have a small selection of tomatoes, but we will be getting in tomatoes throughout the season here at Mission Hills Nursery. But they still have their events heading up north, because as you move north in the state, their spring starts usually a little later. I mean,
right.
Didn't we just get a message from someone in San Jose where it's raining there? And the rain is going to make its way down here, but probably nowhere near as cold or as much as the northern parts of the state, right?
Right.
So Southern California, we're in full spring mode kind of thing. It was warm this week.
You know what it was?
It got hot.
I got in my car at the end of the day, 85 degrees. Now, of course, it was sitting in the sun, so when the inside temperature in the car adjusted, it was still 78.
That's warm.
And I'm like, wow, I go home, the door's open, patio's open. And then again, here we go with a little bit colder weather.
Yeah.
It always happens this time of year, kind of
Yeah.
that false sense of like, okay, summer's here. Not yet. It's still going to be cold. We're going to take a break. Thank you for those tuning in on Biz Talk Radio, those on Facebook Live. I'm Brian Main. Tiger Palafox, John is at the Rose Auction this weekend. We're going to take a break, bring on Madeline. We're going to talk about how to keep in shape. For those of us that like to garden, to bend, to squat, to move pots around, to dumping soil here and there. So do stay with us. Brian Main, Tiger Palafox here on Garden America. Okay, welcome back to the show. It is Garden America. John is off this weekend. The Brian and Tiger Show, Tiger Brian Show here on Garden America. We're going to talk about staying in shape and all kinds of physical activities, things you need to know as you garden, and having a good time here this morning as well. Tiger, let's bring on Madeline.
Yeah, so this morning we have our guest, Madeline deVries Hooper with Garden Fit. Good morning, Madeline. How are you?
Good morning, Tiger. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Welcome back to the program. Wonderful to have you back joining us from last year. Was your inaugural season of Garden Fit, where you guys had season 1 of a brand new gardening, physically fit show that aired across the nation. And, what a fun concept for a program where people get to enjoy seeing, great gardening topics, learning how to do things, being on the farm, learning how to grow, but at the same time, learning great techniques of, staying physically active, stretching, how to prevent injuries, and just being able to connect with the community that's, the gardening community. And, then now we're into season 2. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's wonderful that you guys, are back with a whole new series of episodes. So first off, Madeline, tell us in your in your words what Garden Fit is.
So I think Garden Fit is a program that will help people enjoy their gardening even more. The gardeners that we visit are so inspiring. Each one of their, environments is so special and so inviting to all kinds of birds and bees. I mean, you just see so many different types of plant situations and people who visit these gardens all over the country. It's really delightful, and we get great ideas from our guest gardeners about our own gardens. But the big heart of the show is to really help everybody get up and down from the ground easier and
literally
lift things easier and make sure that they're using the right part of their body while they're doing that. So they have a lot of energy for plant care, and I think they need to have the same kind of energy for their own body care. So that's what we're really about.
And this season's focus is a little bit more on art as well, right?
Yes. So season 1, we visited people who gardened really day and night. I think, gardening was their life, and in most cases it was their profession. They were landscape architects and designers. And for season 2, we visited artists in a big variety of fields, Tiger, from, visual arts to culinary arts, musicians, but all of them were also passionate gardeners. And what was so exciting was how Mother Nature has so affected everything they do in their art. It was really a different way of understanding how important just being in nature is to everybody's well-being. But for them, it was really just a part of their life, and it's such a kind of creative way. It was very inspiring.
Yeah, I always get amazed with artists, and whether it's a landscape artist, painter, sculptor, photographer, because what they can see out of something that I just completely overlook is always just mind-blowing to me, or what they can create out of something that sometimes they'll just use scraps in the garden and create something just beautiful. But now to kind of incorporate the idea of being physically active, being physically fit while doing it, just gives it another aspect that people are like, oh, like it's one thing to be working out there in the yard and creating something, but it's another thing to actually get some exercise and enjoying it. And the one thing I will say about the program is that you make it enjoyable. Your personality, your energy is really a great energy to watch, and you get inspired to actually get out there and get physically active and do these things myself as well. So, for those of you that have not seen Garden Fit yet, definitely check it out from, being able to watch Madeline and get motivated. How do you keep that energy up, Madeline? What's your secret?
Yeah, there you go.
I'll tell you, the secret really is just letting it happen to you, being in the garden and just smiling when you see a beautiful flower. It's just an opening of your heart and your mind, I think, to everything that surrounds you. And when your body feels like it's in the right form, in other words, so many people think they're going to blow out their knees or their back gardening. And when you actually feel stronger and healthier when you're bending over, it just amplifies that experience. And frankly, I don't lose energy because I'm never stressing my body anymore. I mean, I'm very at one with nature because of that. So going out to garden and lifting, a trug of soil is something that I enjoy now. It's never been a chore anymore. And I think that combination really makes you feel at one with yourself.
Yeah. And I think
that gives you energy.
And I think the one thing you mentioned right there for everybody to kind of take as well is, don't think of it as a chore. Don't think of it as a task or something you don't want to do. Think of it as, you're enjoying it. You're exercising. You're getting out. You're doing something you enjoy. So, it's just part of what you're doing, and, and then that makes it enjoyable, right?
Exactly. I used to, before I sort of started this show and was trained to really use my body correctly, I would go out and weed a bed, Tiger, for, 2 hours, and the next morning I could feel a lot of stress from that, right?
Yeah.
We've all done that. The enthusiasm of gardeners is kind of fabulous. But now that I really know how to modulate not only the use of my body, but maybe just weed for 30 minutes and then move on to pruning, and then those muscle groups that I use for weeding get fresh again, and I go back to weeding. So even learning how to organize the gardening chores that I love to do that give you great rewards when you're finished, weeding or pruning a bush the way you love it, become even easier to do. And again, like you were just saying, it's so rewarding. It never feels like a chore anymore. It just feels like an activity. It's almost like dancing.
Yeah.
Dancing takes, a lot of physical energy, but it just feels good all the time you're doing it. I even listen to music when I'm gardening, too.
Oh, good.
Because it's a wonderful experience.
Hey, so, I'm sure, shooting these episodes, you make it look so enjoyable, as I mentioned, could be kind of physically challenging as well. Like, do you have to get prepped to shoot a season of these shows? Because, you're out there, doing everything that everybody else is doing, and if not more, because I'm sure there's retakes, there's resets, and you got to do things over and over again. After shooting a season, are you ready to go again?
I am. I mean, actually, I enjoy it so much. It's so exciting to hear these guests talk about how they started their garden, why they plant this certain plant here, the combinations, how they let plants self-sow in their garden. And I just am so intrigued by how everybody gardens, because it's so personal that it's that window into someone's life really doesn't make it tiring. They're also, every single one of them were pros.
Yeah.
There was never like, don't look at the camera, make sure you don't say this. They really needed no prepping, Tiger. They just loved talking about their garden. They loved getting tuned up by Adam. This year we have, this season, we have a new trainer, and Adam really spent so much time with them on and off camera that they became so excited about learning how to tune up their body to garden better.
Yeah.
And so,
hey, Madeline, we're going to have to pause for one quick sec. We're going to take a break, but we do want to get back to Madeline quickly, and we'll continue chatting about Garden Fit.
Yeah, and keep your train of thought, Madeline. Going to be a quick break. A break for our sponsors on Biz Talk Radio. Quicker break here on Facebook Live. And a reminder that today's show and every show brought to us by our good friends at Fertile Home. Stay with us. Brian Main, Tiger Palafox here on Garden America. And just like that, we have returned from the break. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in. Facebook Live, I see a couple of questions coming in. We'll keep those in mind. Keep that place in the comments section, so don't fret. As we continue our conversation, how to stay fit, what should you be doing? Stretching up and down in the garden, and Madeline's got some good pointers for us, Tiger.
Yeah, and before we cut off Madeline kind of going into the break, she was mentioning that you have a new co-host for the program to kind of help people with the physical stretches, the physical exercise, and thinking about what your body's doing while gardening. And his name is Adam. Is that right, Madeline?
Yes, Adam Schurston. And he's a personal trainer. He's an author of a book about exercising, but it's really about using your own body weight. And he is an expert about posture. That's sort of his specialty.
Yeah.
And that is really helpful.
Yeah, and posture is probably one of the biggest things when it comes to gardening because, I was talking with Brian and, he has a patio where there's pots and, those pots get heavy and you tweak your body because you're trying to twist or turn or lift in the most awkward ways. And it's really a lot body position and posturing, right, Madeline?
Totally. So, if you use your back to lift things, you're already in trouble. You've already stressed all parts of your body, including your back. But if you use your legs and your hip joints correctly, and we kind of show that on our socials and also definitely on the show, you would be amazed at how easy your body gets in balance to lift heavy things if you're using the right joints and right muscles. So not that it isn't stressful to move pots around.
Yeah.
It is, but it doesn't have to be harmful. Mm-hmm. It can be physical, but it should be healthy for you. And again, just make you stronger.
Yeah. And on that, one of the things I watched a few of the episodes from last season, and I've seen a few of the different parts from this season. It's kind of neat too, because with the new people, you guys talk about also some different tools that people use and different things that help make it easier. And, that's such another part of it that, there's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, to help you do things well and a little easier on you that people don't think about. And, there's so much that this show covers that, it's really, really kind of a neat program. And real quick, where can people find Garden Fit? Like, how do people watch the show? How do people find it?
Right. Well, of course, there are a couple of ways. Probably the easiest way is to go to our website, which is gardenfit.fit. It's really easy to find. Mm-hmm. But you also can go on pbs.org/gardenfit if you have that app, and it's streaming there, or you can be connected through our website because we'll connect you to your local public broadcasting station that's streaming it, or you can look at your TV listings because it's just starting to be shown all over the country on public broadcasting. So there are really three ways, but I think our website is probably the easiest. It'll connect you to everything.
Yeah, and I posted a link in the chat right there for the gardenfit.fit for people to find out where it's listing or watch the episodes as well, because, lots of great information as we're talking about. And as far as, the Adam, the show works out where it's kind of like you and him visit these, guests of yours. How do you
Right.
guys pick the guests? Now that you guys are into season 2, is this something that you and Adam have kind of worked together on collaborating on? Does the network kind of put you in touch with these guests? How does that happen?
It's by luck, like anything wonderful. Being so involved in the garden world, it was easy to find so many guests for season 1. This time, it was a little bit more challenging because we wanted people who were artists, again, who also garden. But the same friends that I know through, just going to lectures, traveling to different gardens and different conferences, just helped me. I really just got connected. Even some of the guests of the show had friends that they suggested. So Frances Palmer, who's a ceramicist, who's wonderful, suggested her friend Marion Brenner, who is probably one of the top photographers for garden books in the country. And her garden was spectacular. And so when you see her episode, which is coming up in a few weeks, she teaches everybody how to photograph their garden. I mean, there's so many sides to the talent that are involved. But it was a little harder to find them, but we did it on our own. Really PBS doesn't get involved in the production of these shows.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of all on our plate.
Nice. Wow.
But it was
Good.
great. And the other thing that I think that Adam has brought, if I may say, is this whole understanding of body alignment and how you really should, in your mind, know how your body should feel in good posture, what it feels like to be connected correctly. And that memory that he keeps reinforcing also helps people just instinctively move the right way, which is kind of where you want to get to, where it's just a habit to bend correctly. It's just a habit to get up and down from the ground correctly. So it's very positive, and it's very easy, and you don't need devices. It's not exercise.
Yeah.
It's really smart movements. So that's kind of cool.
And Madeline, I'm sorry to chime in. This is Brian Main. So I would imagine also what you just said is so true. Once you train yourself to do it the right way, you don't even think about it. Now, for those people that say, yeah, but I've already got aches and pains, there's not much I can do. Actually, by doing what you're suggesting, you're going to take care of some of those aches and pains and pretty soon maybe have little or no pain at all if you go about it doing it the right way, correct?
Correct. And that's, I started this because I had so much pain gardening the incorrect way. I had tons of bad habits. But I think I told you the last time we spoke that within a month and a half, I was already developing a better habit. If your body feels better, it will replace a bad habit pretty quickly. So it's just a matter of, a little determination on your part to overcome the bad habit and replace it with something that's healthier.
And, you had mentioned, Adam kind of talk about just, body weight, exercises.
Right.
And, you're talking about just the repetition of things. When you guys were out there and you're visiting these artists and you're kind of seeing these new places, do you see how you can kind of connect from one to the next in the sense of somebody in a, desert scape could align with somebody in a, tropical garden, somebody in a greenhouse, and a photographer can connect with a sculptor and a sculptor connect with a painter? Because, there's a lot of things when it comes to body weight and alignment that doesn't matter what you're doing. It's just the same stuff, right?
Absolutely. So for the ceramicist, for example, who, throws clay on a wheel, she's bending over like she's bending over when she's caring for her cutting gardens.
Yeah.
And so one of our visual artists, Jose Alvarez, DOPA, he literally is bending over his mica canvases to do these amazing overlays of colorful paintings, also using nature, like with porcupine quills. But he has a 2-acre tropical garden that he looks after. So there's a lot of bending and lifting there, too. So, in life, we should use our bodies correctly for anything we do. But for artists, they have such similar needs. It's pretty profound, and it's exciting. It's nice that there's a world of people whose body movements, if they move their bodies correctly and have that body awareness, will enjoy everything that they do even more.
Yeah, and how fun must it be for you to see all of these different things? I mean, just the opportunity to go and talk to these people and see what they're doing and get an insight into how they think and how they do things. we talked
It's
earlier
amazing.
we talked earlier in the show on
Really.
your energy, and definitely that's got to be fun, right?
It is fun. It is really fun. It's just, I had talked to them quite a bit before we actually met them. So it was so nice to actually put a physical person to the voice or to all the emails. And it was really a treat to be with these people. And a lot of them, I'm going to see quite often because we became in each other's lives. And some of them are now meeting each other.
Oh.
To your point of this connection between them, which is really, just lovely. We're like a little club of happy people.
That's wonderful. Hey, we are going to have to take a break in about another 30 seconds, right?
About a minute, maybe just under a minute.
Okay, but we talked earlier on the phone, and I had mentioned, Madeline, that we're going to be taking a group of listeners to Costa Rica.
Yeah, next weekend.
And you had some great tips when we get back from the break that I want to touch on. For people that are traveling, we will be walking, we'll be hiking, we'll be visiting gardens. I'm sure people will be bending over. They'll be taking photos and all kinds of stuff. So what a wonderful treat for us to have Madeline on the program to share some tips for our guests that are going to be joining. Or if you are going to be traveling in the future, Madeline has some tips for you while you're out and about to be able to kind of keep active, keep healthy, keep strong. So when we get back, we'll continue chatting with Madeline with Garden Fit program, the TV show.
You got it. Okay. We're going to take a break, as Tiger mentioned. If you're tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, final segment coming up for hour number 1. We'll talk about that on the other side, though. For the rest of us, Facebook Live, Biz Talk Radio. Do stay with us. John is off this weekend. Myself, Brian Main, Tiger Palafox here on Garden America. We are back from the break. As I mentioned prior to the break, those on Biz Talk Radio, this is the final segment of your hour number 1. We do come back at 6 minutes after. 2 hours on Biz Talk Radio. We do hope your market carries, if not both hours, at least 1 hour. We're going to keep in shape. We have to bend. We have to do a lot in the garden. As Tiger mentioned prior to the break, we're going to Costa Rica. We need to be in shape to some degree, Tiger.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably, lived through some of this, Madeline, because doing the episodes, you travel around, you go to different places, and then you got to get out and shoot and do these physically active things. So, I think we all understand sometimes traveling and then actually doing something active is kind of a challenge because you're sedentary for a while, but then you have to get up and go. So you had some tips for the people that maybe will be traveling with us to Costa Rica, right?
Yes, I do. So, sort of a whole potpourri of thoughts to share. One that's really important because I'm sure, it's, again, this posture idea of aligning your body correctly. For example, when people are walking up hills or certainly hiking up mountains, a lot of them put their torso over their feet. They're sort of trudging and having their head go in the direction of the hill. But if you change that habit and put your hips first and let your hips lead the way, you're not carrying so much upper body weight as you're moving up a hill, and it feels like you're floating.
Wow.
Just a simple body change like that, I think, would make the world of difference. The other thing that's really important as sort of a health and safety tip is if you're going up and down steps or uneven terrain, you really want to use one foot at a time, which I know sounds silly, but if you step on, let's say, a stone stairs, and they're a little wobbly, you want all your body weight on one foot so the other foot can catch you. So a lot of people quickly shift from 1 foot to 2 feet, but you really want to make sure your whole body weight is down on 1 foot, and then you can put the other one next to it or in front of it. But really how you shift your weight will give you not only great balance, but it'll prevent you from falling, which is important.
Nice, yeah.
And I even like the idea of carrying a walking stick because that also holds you up, not at cane level. I'm talking about something that's really, almost comes up to your shoulders. So you can keep your body upright and use that to help you get through, again, very rocky or very uneven terrain. It's just a lovely feeling to have that upright position with an upright stick.
Yeah.
Then one other thing that I think is really important, this is sort of a ladies' thing, guys, but it's obviously backpacks are made for people who walk and hike, but a lot of women really need to make sure that if they're bringing a purse of any kind, that it's cross-body or around their waist, because you don't want something that you're holding in one hand.
Yeah.
You always want to hold something or equalize, what your body is doing in not only both sides, but certainly both hands. So it's really important, I guess, for men and women, if you're carrying a heavy camera, to switch off hands as you're walking, or anything, even a bottle of water. Just keep it moving from one side to the other. It's sort of our tip about being ambidextrous. Whatever you can do with your favorite side, you can do with your other side, especially when it comes to carrying. So that's helpful, too.
Oh, yeah, that's very helpful. A lot of people don't think about that, right? And as you mentioned, women who carry purse, they throw it over one shoulder. And, like you say, it's their strong shoulder, so they leave it there for an hour or two while they're cruising around. And then next thing you know, they don't realize they've been overcompensating all 1 or 2 hours, and now the other part of their body hurts. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And these are really easy, simple tips. And, you mentioned the walking sticks, as far as, those are very easy to pack and carry. And I know they make a lot of very nice collapsible ones that are lightweight as well.
Right.
But people have to think, like, when they do a trip, whether it's with us or anyone else or whatever, you want to enjoy that trip. So therefore, you don't want something to happen while you're on that trip, right? To ruin it, right? Like you mentioned, one step at a time. I'm sure we're going to be walking through very beautiful landscapes, very scenic areas, and our eyes will be floating all over the place. But if you trip and fall, that could be the end of your fun, So why not just focus one step at a time, get a backpack, get a fanny pack, something that will make it more enjoyable. So that way you can truly endure the full experience. And you mentioned the hill thing. That makes so much sense, to save your lower back and just posturing while walking.
Yeah, your hips are so useful, way more useful than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
I think, the other thing is that even if you have a backpack or whatever, if your arms are free, you can be opening them wide and stretching your chest and, almost embracing the scene that you're looking at. And that's a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can clasp your hands and put them behind your back and take a deep breath and let them lower, and it'll open up your chest. So your breathing becomes easier and healthier.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I do when I'm just walking literally to get a hose in the garden. I'm constantly moving my arms or doing some of the stretches that you'll see on our show on Garden Fit, because it's multitasking in a healthy way, I'd like to say.
Yeah.
But, you need a moment to just stop and look at the beauty around you.
Yeah, definitely, right?
Yeah.
And one of the other things, I remember watching an episode last season, and you guys don't touch on this too much because you're more focused on like the muscles and the stretching and all of that. But you guys also did mention, just the idea of, eating healthy, drinking water, all of those things kind of also help you in terms of recovery and in terms of, being able to do the exercises that you guys are doing, working in the garden. I mean, I think there was like one time where you guys were on a farm last year and it was, hot, and, just talking about drinking water is also a really important part of just staying active and being able to do it, right?
Absolutely. And I think for gardeners, they're so tuned into how much water their plants need, certainly their potted plants, and they forget that they need water too.
Yeah, that's
true. So it is, again, just an awareness of understanding that, your body just wants it oiled with water.
Hey, we're going to take a break here in about another 10, 15 seconds, Madeline. When we get back from the break, I definitely want to retouch on, what episodes are coming up in the future that people can look for, how to watch Garden Fit, and, maybe you'll give us some insight on maybe one of your favorite episodes that's coming up for season 2. So when we get back from the break, we'll continue chatting with Madeline.
Yes, indeed. And those on BizTalk Radio, news coming up. We come back with you for you at 6 minutes after. Hopefully you'll stick around, or hopefully your market does carry us. For the rest of us on the Facebook Live, it'll be a quicker break, and we're going to come back, finish things up with Madeline, any last-minute business as well. This is Garden America. John is off this weekend. Myself, Brian Main, Tiger Palafox here on Garden America. Back from the break, back from the news segments on Biz Talk Radio. Thank you to our sponsors, Fertilome, our major sponsor here on Garden America, and of course the rest that you hear on Biz Talk Radio. Thank you for supporting us. We're talking about staying in shape, how to do this, how to do that. Don't do the wrong thing. Do the right thing. Make it enjoyable. If you're on a vacation, on a trip, whatever, that also holds well too, Tiger, in terms of not getting hurt when you're thousands of miles away from home.
Exactly. And we're talking with Madeline deVries Hooper with Garden Fit, and gardenfit.fit is the website. Season 1 already wrapped. People can watch that now online and streaming. Season 2 is underway. You had a great time. I know we talked earlier shooting the season 2, Madeline. What are some episodes coming up that people can look forward to? And did you have a favorite episode that's going to be in season 2?
But I definitely didn't have a favorite episode because each one was kind of equally exciting in so many different ways. But coming up next week is a wonderful episode. It's a flower farm. It's called the Tiny Hearts Flower Farm. And Jenny and her husband Luke run it. And they started with about 2 acres, and now they have 40 acres of flowers. It's magnificent. And they also do they harvest their flowers, and they do wonderful wedding floral arrangements and celebration arrangements and all kinds of things that go with that. And they gave us a chance to work with them to actually see Jenny put together one of her bouquets, which are very seasonal and beautiful. And then they let Adam and I do what they call this big dramatic thing. And it was so much fun to actually have them guide us so we understood how they actually do their artistic work. So I think it'd be fun for people to see that even people who don't know how to do floral bouquets and drama with flowers will really get a kick out of seeing this one. We got our hands dirty, as they say.
Good. Yeah, floral bouquets always blow my mind. I've been working around flowers my whole life, and I can honestly say I still cannot put together a bouquet. So that'll be definitely a must-see.
The good news: there's no right or wrong way.
Oh, good. That'll be a must-see one for me.
Flowers look great together, no matter what.
That is true, and I try to keep it simple. I'll just pick one, put it in a vase, call it a day. Because
that's it.
That way I can't mess it up. But
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, lots of fun.
I really do. I think that then you can really just appreciate that one gorgeous flower.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I do a lot of effort in going and picking out that one flower. So hopefully my home appreciates it, my kids and my wife.
Well, maybe in a few years your kids will appreciate it more as they get older.
Yeah, exactly. As we mentioned before, gardenfit.fit, that's a good website, a .fit right there. Remember that, not .com, .fit. You can kind of catch where the episodes are. Or you can catch where they're streaming as well, and then past episodes. And then, great way to stay in touch with Madeline here. I'm sure there's information on maybe where you're going to be doing talks or, different things. People that can stay in touch with the Garden Fit community, right, Madeline?
Yeah, and it's all on our website. And we do, a lot of socials every day. So Get Garden Fit is sort of a way to get into our Instagram and Facebook, et cetera. And we do a lot of information, like Adam and I have done a lot of posts just to show specific what he calls tune-ups. Really the ideas that we've done on the show, we kind of demonstrate them together. So that's also a nice window into what you should be thinking about, especially now as the seasons are changing and people will start cleaning up their gardens, which takes an awful lot of physical effort.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you might as well be garden fit before you start.
Agreed. Get ready now. It's a good way to look at it. Hey, well, Madeline, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you're having a good weekend. You're still in Florida, right? Or are you?
I am.
Yeah.
No, I'm still in Florida for another few weeks, and then back north I go and spend my whole summer in my garden, which I cannot wait to do.
Oh, well, enjoy it, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lovely to be with you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah, a lot of good information there. Things that may seem so obvious, but it's all about retraining the way you are doing something, which is probably wrong to begin with.
It's just thinking about it, like just being aware of it. Your body, as she mentioned, wants to do it the right way, wants to not feel pain in whatever you're doing. You just have to think about it a little bit, and then you'll be fine.
When you're used to doing something the same way, though, that's where the retraining comes into place, because you're doing it without even thinking.
Yeah.
So by retraining and doing what she has suggested, it's like a 180. Now the way to do it right becomes very natural to you.
Right.
Because like I told you, I still to this day I get sore doing some of the most mundane things in the garden, because you tend to use muscles that you don't ordinarily use. But if you're going to use those muscles, do it right, so that you're not so that it's something you look forward to. Basically, you want to run back up the scroll back and see if we can answer some questions.
Linda mentioned my rheumatoid arthritis has made gardening more difficult, but worth the effort. And Linda, my wife has rheumatoid arthritis too, and there's good days and bad days, and there's things that they can do well and whatnot. But I also know that staying active helps, kind of be able to just keep active.
Stay active.
Because the minute that you stop, like we talked about earlier in the show, is where you really start to hurt.
Now, before that, there's Connie. If you scroll back up.
I don't see.
She has voles.
Moles and voles?
Yeah,
what is
in her
she
rose
asking?
garden.
What are some good things?
There are 3 lost roses. Let's see. Basically, she's lost 3 roses.
Mm-hmm.
She can actually see where they've moved the dirt, evidence at the base of the roses and all the root base.
So, Connie, John, has touched on the gopher issue in his rose garden a lot. And I think with moles and voles, I think the gopher hawk is the trap he's using. Also works for those. There's also the Maccabee trap.
Right.
If you're into traps, obviously there's a lot of baits and poisons and smoke bombs and things like that. But the one thing that I will say if it comes to roses is John has also had great success in also retransplanting those roses, getting them to come back. A lot of people will look at a plant that's
and they think it's gone.
And they think it's gone. And what he'll do is he'll take it, cut it back, put it in some draining potting soil, maybe give it a little bit of rinse with an HB 101.
HB 101, good advice.
Keep it moist, and they will root back out, and you'll be amazed at the plants that come back.
Roses are very tenacious.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you have to actually work to kill them. There's evidence of roses. You go to a cemetery. Maybe that cemetery's been there for 200-300 years. And roses, John refers to them as cemetery roses. There's nobody taking care of those roses. Roses do quite well on their own. In fact, some people won't even trim their roses back. They just let them go. Right. So you're right as far as the rebounding. You're probably going to have some pretty good luck.
Yeah, but in terms of the actual problem, you just
traps.
The one thing that I will say that I've seen with John, he's been doing rose gardening, for 100 years.
Yeah.
But the gopher hawk has kind of reinvigorated this excitement. He comes in here and gives us the report. I got 30. I got 36 of them, and that's what you need to find to solve your problem. You can't dread going out and setting a trap, putting in bait, putting in the smoke bombs, doing whatever it is you do.
It becomes part of what you do as a gardener.
You have to enjoy it. Whatever you find, enjoy it, and then it'll become easy, and then you'll do it more, and you'll be more successful.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of options.
I think people tend to lean toward a hobby or something that's low maintenance.
Yeah.
But gardening is a different thing because, like you said, you should enjoy it. You should get out there and enjoy what you're doing, whether it's raking leaves, whether it's getting rid of gophers, getting rid of moles or voles or whatever. It's all part of the territory. When you buy the program, that's what's inside that program. So either take part in the event or say, maybe this isn't for me. But again, it's all about attitude and staying in shape so then it doesn't become such a chore.
Right. And speaking of staying in shape, Lenore had mentioned how to move pots preventing shoulder pain. And when Madeline was with us on the program, she had mentioned, using your legs, as
right.
much as possible.
Right,
Whenever
right.
you're doing any lifting, any moving, your legs can bear so much more weight and so much, more twisting and turning than your back or your shoulders. So it's all about the posture and using your legs to do the work.
Here's a sports analogy for those that follow sports, even maybe every now and then. You don't have to be a sports expert, but let's talk about baseball. Let's talk about a pitcher. Where does the pitcher get his strength from? Legs.
Yeah.
Those upper legs, those thighs coming off the mound throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Sure, your arm's important, but
I don't know. I see a lot of skinny arm pitchers.
right, and whenever there's an injury, it's usually the arm.
Yeah.
So again, we use that sports analogy, but again, it's true with whatever you're doing in terms of using your legs. We're going to take a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Coming back on Biz Talk, coming back on Facebook Live. This is Garden America. Stay with us. Hey, good news. We have come back from the break. We trust you had a good break. Thank you to those tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, as we get to as many questions as possible. Veronica's going to be pulling a multitude of weeds. Hopefully you're in shape, Veronica, and do it correctly, whatever you're doing. And also, too, we should talk about this, too. Take a break now and then.
Yeah.
Doing anything for more than 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, take a break and make sure you're well hydrated, especially going into the summer.
Definitely some good tips. And Carla mentioned my husband insists on us on using a walking stick when we walk. It's more comfortable to switch hand and hold it with as I go along. So, you can have two walking sticks, you can have one, and then just switch off.
There's kind of a sense of power, too, when you have a walking stick. You feel kind of, I'm in charge here,
Yeah, my mom even mentioned, because my dad's going to be joining us in Costa Rica, and he loves to take pictures, and he carries a camera everywhere he goes, switching arms, trying
Right.
to being able to make sure that you balance it out. Lenore mentioned drinking water as well. And then, Paula mentioned the black hole trap. And again, it's all about finding the trap or device that works for you, is easy for you, so you will do it more often.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if you don't like doing it, you're not going to keep doing it.
And here's something else. And when you see success, you'll continue to do it.
Yes.
And there comes that sense of power and sort of, invigorates you that I found something that works. I'm going to keep on doing it.
Yeah, definitely. There is a question about red clover inoculant, what I can do with it before it expires.
That's Carla, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a cover crop. And so, I mean, as far as it expiring,
Do we talk about dying? Is that another word for dying?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just less effective. It's kind of, don't they say that, medicine, when it has an expiration date, it's not that it's expired, it's just less, it keeps getting less.
Maybe less effective.
Yeah.
But it's still going to work.
And that's the same thing with the red clover is it's every year that goes by or every, period of time, or if it's exposed to the elements, air, sunlight, that kind of thing, it's becoming less and less effective. So, you would use it as a cover crop in the sense of your garden to make sure, you're recharging it with the nitrogen and all the other things that you incorporate into the soil. But, as far as, it just becomes less effective. They're less successful.
It's like when you go to the store and you see the expiration date on something.
Mm-hmm.
Now milk is not in this category because when
it
milk
smells
turns
and curdles.
But with a lot of other products, it'll say best buy.
Yeah.
Meaning it's still good, but it maybe won't be the best.
Yeah, like those crackers are going to be a little stale. They're going to be a little... Now,
we see milk, and it has an expiration date. Sometimes that milk goes bad before the date.
Yeah.
It works either way. A fun thing to do is you have an expiration date on your milk. Let's say it's tonight. Well, stay up till midnight and see if it does expire.
A fun thing to do.
1 minute after midnight.
Just set it.
Take a
just
sip.
set it on the counter and just watch it and see what happens.
Exactly. Well,
I love
12:01.
I would love to be in your house, Brian, with all the fun things to do that you have. Huh?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My wife and I
Dana's
have
like, oh, you're up at midnight again, huh?
Yeah, we have a great time. We're a silly couple, but yeah, I think that's so funny. Up midnight. It's April. What's today's date? The 13th, April 13th.
Exactly.
So the milk expires on the 14th. So stay up until midnight and watch it expire.
I'm trying to catch up to make sure we got everybody's questions answered too. A bunch just came through all of a sudden. I was like, oh goodness.
Yeah, so keep them coming.
Yeah, good tip to break and hydrate. And the other thing too that I thought about with all this hydrating talk is when you're gardening or when you're traveling, bring a proper sun care stuff. Bring a hat.
That's on our list.
Sunscreen
and mosquito repellent, especially where we're going.
Yeah.
Mosquito repellent, suntan lotion, hats. It's just the sun is our friend. We do need vitamin D.
Yeah.
But too much sun exposure for certain people is not good.
No, definitely not. And it's all about being able to continue doing it. So like,
and have fun too at the same time.
When we talk about gardening specifically, it's like, okay, if your goal is to go out there and pick a series of weeds, a section of weeds, okay, if you go out there for 5 hours straight and blast through that whole area and you are wiped out and you are sunburned and you're exhausted, well, guess what? You're not going to be able to do anything for days, maybe a week.
And you're not going to look forward to doing it again.
Exactly. But if you go out there for 30 minutes, you do a section, you take a break, you do something else for a little bit, you get inside, you get protected, you go back out there for another 30 minutes, and, you do that chore over time. Now you're going to be successful, but you're going to continue doing it. You're going to be able to continue doing it, and you're going to enjoy doing it. So,
and it's a good routine. You get into a routine, like anything else. Like when we come back from Costa Rica, that's when I'm going to get outside and really start prepping for summer.
Yeah.
Do a lot of cleanup, do some heavy watering. Things are okay now, but I'm kind of looking at Costa Rica as, when we come back, and that'll be about the 1st of May, to get out there and really, prep things and see how things are doing as we get ready for summer. Because, it's still going to be cool for a while. We'll have the June gloom, I should say, the May gray, and things will start to warm up, and you want to be prepared for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like what Lenore says. Exactly. Just a guide. And you know what? And to some degree, to protect the manufacturer.
Yeah. Oh, and then Carla clarified her question. She says, she's not going to be planting the red clover or any cover crop again. So she just wanted to use the inoculant and wonder if it can be used as a fertilizer, et cetera. Yes, it could be used as a fertilizer. Yes.
Okay. Yes. That clears it up.
Got it. Okay. How to eat an elephant one bite at a time. Great tip, Paul.
That's exactly. Great analogy. That's like a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
True. Right.
You know what was interesting when Madeline was talking about going up a hill and how we tend to lean forward and to try to use your hips. And I'm picturing, okay, kind of pushing my hips forward going up a hill.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to try. I'm going to try because I got a horrible back. My back is so bad, but I have good days.
Uh-huh.
I have good days, but I'm not going to let that stop me.
No.
You have to keep active and maybe push through the pain.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing it correctly. You don't want pain to be caused by the fact that you did it wrong.
Right. And then continue doing it wrong
Right.
and then continue having more and more pain. I agree with that. So John, today, up at the Rose Auction, today is Saturday. So it's more
bidding,
just the meetings,
and
talks,
and right.
presentations,
lectures.
And all that. And then tomorrow is the actual auction, right?
And now John said this year, it's okay to miss this year, but next year, we need you.
Oh, yeah?
Something big next year.
Something big.
Yeah, I think maybe, I'm not sure. He can explain it next week when he's back.
The Blue Rose is coming out?
Yeah. And someone's going to make $1 billion. Okay, we're going to take a break. We have 2 more segments coming up for those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. And again, those on Facebook Live, what's on your mind? You can take this show in any direction because we have another couple of segments to go. We'll do our best to answer your questions. And again, those on BizTalk Radio, thank you for joining us. John is off. It's myself, Brian Main, Tiger Palafox, back after these messages on BizTalk Radio. We have returned a bit longer as far as the break on BizTalk Radio. Thank you for supporting our sponsors. Those on Facebook Live, we appreciate you. If you are tuned in on BizTalk Radio, you want to join the show live, interact, you can go to our Facebook page, Garden America Radio Show. Every Saturday, we kick things off at 8 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock Eastern Time Zone, and you can be with us here live right now, the here and now. The here and now is always good, Tiger.
The here and now
yes,
is always
yeah,
good. You can't go wrong, right?
But if you want to watch a previous show, you can also go to our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show, and catch any show that you may have missed. You can pause, rewind, fast forward, whatever you want to do. So that's another way. Along with the various aspects of how to listen to our show, could be Pandora, could be Google, could be Spotify, could be Alexa. In fact, later this afternoon, if you have Alexa, you can ask her to play the latest Garden America Show podcast, and she will do it for you.
Back to Lenore's question about the inoculant is that, just so people understand what that is it's just the beneficial bacteria we talk about that is in soil that attaches to root systems that help them grow, the mycorrhizae, all those beneficial, bacillus and fun stuff. So the inoculant activates those in the soil so that way when you do plant plants, your root systems. Now, those ones are specifically to those clover or peas or beans. But like Lenore mentioned, it's just a fertilizer too. So, it's not going to hurt. And as far as it expiring, it's kind of like what we talked about where it's just less effective because it's a live product. So the more time that goes by, the more product dies, for lack of a better term.
You're talking about bacteria?
Yeah.
They only have so much life in them.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they just kind of die over time. So there's really no bad that's going to happen. If you put it into the soil and it's dead, it's not going to hurt the soil.
If you look at bacteria as an army, a marching army, and little by little, some of the soldiers get picked, they get picked off. You still have a few left. Just don't let the army become completely depleted.
You know which movie? Oh, I'm going so off topic.
That's
but
okay.
Do you remember Glory?
Oh,
a Civil War movie. Wasn't
yes,
it? Civil War
I think
movie,
so, right?
Glory, and it was Matthew Broderick, someone like that. And anyways, that whole idea that they just march in this line and they just shoot at each other. And I'm just blown away that this is the way that wars happen.
It sounds very Civil War.
Yeah.
Push forward.
Yeah. That's what I'm envisioning right now with your analogy of the bacteria working through. Little bacteria just dropping off.
What did we talked about this before? Speaking of everything that goes on underground, all the bacteria, and there's a whole nother life down there where plants they would plant whatever it was. Could be a tree, could be a flower.
Mm-hmm.
And how those roots would look for a water source.
Yeah.
And let's say there was a water source maybe 50 feet away, those roots would begin to grow that way.
Yeah.
Now, that's incredible.
They find it.
Yeah, they find it. Exactly.
Yeah. And
just like the fertilizer.
And it's not always, and it's not by chance, meaning like what you're saying.
No, it's not chance
like
at
all. If you
all.
were to look at a root system and you were to think, okay, it's going to go straight down. Well, if you put a water source to the right and nothing to the left, they will grow to the right. And because they know they don't just incidentally grow to the left as well and then go, oh no, there's nothing over there.
It's not happenstance.
Yeah, they grow to the right. And it's amazing network of bacteria and information and minerals and all kinds of stuff underground, and the roots tap into that so that way they can survive because it's all about survival.
Well, look at it this way. Long before we came around, plants were doing quite well.
Yeah.
You go into the jungles, nobody's taking care of the plants, nobody's fertilizing. They're doing quite well on their own.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I think we kind of cleared up that question that, it's just a bacteria and, if it expires, it'll be fine, but you just.
Yeah, Lisa says, like my sewer pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that means there's a hole in them. So
yeah, good point.
Yeah, exactly.
And the rose auction today is happening in Oceanside. We've got a couple of our listeners, viewers, talking about
I'll try to maybe
attending the auction.
Yeah, if there's some people that are interested and you're in San Diego, let me find a link and I'll post it.
Now, we
to
should have
the,
had John call in. I know John's busy.
He's always so busy.
He could have given us 5 minutes on the phone. You're looking for the address?
I'm going to post a link to their website.
Oh, yeah.
So that way people
Good
can be able to kind of go there. And let's see here. I got it here. Sunday, April.
Is this the same building that you and I were in or attended a couple of 2 or 3 years ago?
Yes. Up in Oceanside.
Yes.
At the El Corazon Oceanside Senior Center.
Yep. That's it.
I am posting it onto the Facebook chat.
That was the year that Jerry Mathers was there with his wife because there was a rose named after him. Leave It to Beaver.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Was it? Yep. Yeah, it was, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know what, Tiger, that could have been 2018. It was before COVID. I remember that rose auction specifically. I think it was the first one you went to. Or one of the first.
One of the first. Tanya wrote a comment. I was once told it's not good to rototill garden soil as it could be harmful to the soil balance. So the way that I was explained.
And she's talking about because you're digging up and destroying all the good bacteria.
Well, okay, the way that it's explained to me, and I think it makes so much sense, is that right now the soil is an ant farm. You know, imagine it's got all this network of tunnels and all this stuff happening that the soil and, you know, not just ants, but earthworms and bugs and, you know, all the bacteria and all that. They've done this real hard work on establishing this network of information, water, tunnels, minerals in the soil. Well, what happens when you rototill it is you shake up the ant farm. And
you're breaking everything up.
And then they have to rebuild it all because you've broken it all up. Now, is rototilled soil easy to plant in? Is it easier for you to work in? Does it drain better initially? Yes. But you've broken up all this wonderful network of you know, bacteria and funguses and all that stuff in the soil. And so that's why they don't recommend rototilling the soil or turning the soil, is because keep all of that stuff intact. And then when you plant, now your root system will go into that surrounding network of wonderful soil that you've built easier than if it was all broken up and had to reset itself again. So properly mulch, properly fertilize, you won't have any problems. That's why they tell you not to till. And it does make a lot of sense. So, and it's a lot of work for not a lot of help.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, you rototill a garden and it's easy for you to plant in, but, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could have done just as good a job just digging a hole and planting
without
a tree.
doing that. So Connie says, thanks for the gopher hawk tip. Another question. My daughter loves our Cleveland sage and is moving to central North Carolina. Any chance that it grows there in North Carolina?
Central to I would say the toughest problem with Cleveland sage is going to be either extreme cold or extreme wet. That plant does not like to be wet. So, you know, if
North Carolina's wet and cold.
Yeah. So, you know, but it can tolerate very cold for some periods of time, just not prolonged periods of times. So, I know North Carolina, certain areas, you know, you could probably get away with it, but it's going to have to do very well draining. And also, you know, you probably can't have, you know, severe frost for, you know, a week, you know, kind of thing. Definitely no snow, you know, and I know that some areas of North Carolina get snow. So it just depends on the region, but well draining soil, if it is warm enough to survive there, well draining soil is going to be your next thing.
And it's going to be very hot and humid in the summertime back there.
Which that isn't going to be terrible as long as it's draining.
Cold. It's the cold.
Well, as long as it's draining, you know, as far as hot and humid. I planted a series of Cleveland sages at a new install that we had. Say I planted 12 of them, 6 of them died. And
is that why you planted 12? Is it a numbers game?
well, you know, the issue is that we put a mulch down and then we got a series of rain. and they just never dried out when we transplanted them, and they just died.
Well, that rain was heavy.
So in like you say, I mean, it's just we if it hadn't rained, it would have been a different story because 6 of them are thriving, but some of them got root rot and they just died, and that's just
And you know what? Plants are like people.
Yeah.
In terms of you can line up 10 people, they're not all going to be healthy.
You and your analogies.
It's true
People
because
dropping off.
Because people want to know, like, I planted this plant and it did well and this plant died. Every plant's a bit different.
Yeah.
They're not the same. So, you can have something come up from seed. You can have 5 things come up from seed. Maybe 2 of them just died and didn't do well for no real reason. They just weren't as strong as they maybe should be. True. Be it their cell structure, be it the biology, whatever.
Yeah.
I am knocking people off right and left this morning. You're right. Hey, we've got to take a break. We got to take a break. We've got one more segment coming up. Stay with us. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasker, Tiger Palafox. This is Garden America. Garden America, we have returned from our fabulous break. This is our final segment for both Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our sponsor, Fertilome, keeping us on the air each and every year. We do appreciate you and our other fine sponsors, Schultz, Mosquito Dunks. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for supporting our many sponsors. Tiger, this is it. Last segment.
Yeah. Rick,
yes.
I noticed lower level compost soil products have a lot of wood chips in them for filler. Apparently, the fungus that breaks down those wood chips need to use a substantial amount of nitrogen to do so. So don't be surprised if you need to fertilize with nitrogen for better plant growth. Is that correct? So basic, like shredded pallet material that will be used for wood chips. A lot of the times that they do the dye, the black, the red, the brown wood chips, they just use shredded dead wood. It's not live wood at all. It's been processed. It's been old pallets, whatever it is. Rick is correct in that it's actually completely void of nutrients, and it will actually deplete your soil from some of the beneficial, nitrogen, phosphorus of soil when you use those. But it still is a compost material. It's just not a live compost material. John, he likes those products as long as you fertilize accordingly, as Rick mentioned. It's not a problem, but you do need to know that it is not a soil amendment, meaning, a lot of times people use bark and mulch as a soil amendment because they're told that's what it does. It amends the soil, it breaks down. Shredded wood chips, it is not a soil amendment. It's simply a soil covering.
Because it's dead.
Right. It does keep moisture in the soil. It does break down. It does keep weeds under control.
Know what you're using it for.
But it is not an amendment.
Right, because it's dead. Doesn't matter how much it breaks down, it's dead to begin with.
Yeah, and Rochelle mentioned to all the travelers, may you have a wonderful trip. Thank you, Rochelle. We will miss you. So, we're looking forward to it. We will be back next week.
Yeah, actually, we're doing what I call not a last-minute show, but last minute in terms of the fact that we leave the next day.
Yeah.
So we're going to be scrambling.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah. So we will be back on next week. We'll have a show. We do not have a guest lined up, so we'll be able to just kind of field questions,
ad-lib our way through the show, and then of course the following weekend, the 20th.
Mm-hmm. No. The 27th.
7th. There'll be no show from here, but we'll try to give you a show from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
We'll do our best, and we'll be giving you updates and pictures and videos posted all week anyway. So
yeah, exactly. So it'll be fun to be able to see if we can chat with some people while we're there as well, though. We always enjoy this time with our listeners. So thank you all for joining and being a part of the show, because without you, there's no show. And continue to log on to our website, gardenamerica.com. Visit it, check things out. There's different articles, different things change, much like the newsletter, but it does help us if you do visit gardenamerica.com. And just click around, because the website's never quite the same. It does change. There are continual updates every now and then. Earlier in the show, you thanked one of our big sponsors, Fertilome.
Fertilome, yes.
And, we do touch on them every once in a while, but it's always fun to kind of refresh people's minds as far as, what they offer. So, all over the country, Fertilome is a company that releases products to independent garden centers. So you're not going to find their products in big box stores, which people say, oh, well, what's the big deal? Well, that allows them to specialize in products that, work for different regions. And so no matter where you're at, you're going to find Fertilome products, but those products are specific to who you are and what you're doing and where you are.
Exactly.
So, if you're in the, local garden center somewhere, wherever you live, look for Fertilome products because, you're going to find products that are geared towards your environment to solve problems for your environment. If you've got fungal, bug, fertilizer issues, they specifically manufacture products for your area. So, visit a local garden center and see if they have Fertilome. And if they don't, ask for it.
And support Fertilome because they support our show, and they're the reason that we're on the air. They're the reason we broadcast on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. So your support can ensure a good future for us here on Garden America.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Tanya says, good timing of no show on the 27th. There may be a show on the 27th, Tanya, from Costa Rica, because we're trying to figure that out. She's going to be at the San Jose Cactus and Succulent show and sale at the fairgrounds. Okay, that's
they've
cool.
got to have some fun stuff. That's always fun to go to those succulent shows because there's some really unique stuff.
Absolutely. Lisa says that Ace carries Fertilome.
Oh, that's
that's an independent,
they are.
Much like any independent garden store in your area.
Yeah,
we do the garden show here.
Yeah.
Couple of minutes to go. And then again, we're back next weekend. John is back with us. We'll hear all about the rose auction too.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the big seller is going to be tomorrow. It's always, it's funny because it's always kind of a little bit surprising. There's always the rose that they kind of feel is going to be the big seller. But every once in a while, one will just...
Used to be Abracadabra, Simsalabim. I remember for a couple of years, $200-$300 bids. Mm-hmm. And then the next couple of years, not so much.
Yeah.
It's like the rose of the month, the rose of the year. What do people want? Why do they want this rose? How hard is it to get?
Yeah.
And this is to save roses, endangered species.
Yeah, so all the money goes towards their efforts into maintaining rose gardens that are, saving roses or personal rose collections that are geared towards or shipping or producing. Because that's the thing, too, is that they use this money to create the what would you say? They graft, they take cuttings,
they reinvest
and then
they
in reinvest into the rose to repopulate it.
Lenore says Amazon for Fertilome.
Yeah,
not surprised. Amazon for just about everything, right?
Yeah,
but that's good. If you don't have a store you can go to, Amazon will ship it. Fertilome, and as you mentioned, Tiger, they're more than just fertilizer. They've got a full line of products.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll be having him on. We have him
in a few weeks.
Yeah,
right in the middle of May, just to be able to kind of make sure everybody's all queued up as far as what products are out and how to use them and when to use it, and kind of go from there.
Be ready to go. So I think that's going to do it for you and I. You've got a busy day. We're starting to get prepared for Costa Rica. We're going to do some shopping and, going to stop by storage, get a couple of suitcases out and start thinking about that. But you got a lot going on. So as we discussed, to get our minds to wrap around Costa Rica. Thank you for joining us. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you to Stephanie and her crew at Biz Talk Radio. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Everybody here who supports Garden America. John is back next weekend. One more show here in the States, and then hopefully a show from Costa Rica on the 27th. For the entire crew, our webmaster Daniel, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox, I'm Brian Main. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you back here, God willing, next weekend right here on Garden America. Take care.